How to know you are a real vampire.
This is VampireWebsite.net, a website by a self-proclaimed vampire that claims to be a modern vampire expert. I found this website while browsing late at night some time ago, and this is part of a stream where I went over the website in detail along with these theories. This section is the one that I found to be most interesting.
The sole purpose of this page is to find out if you are a real vampire or not. This is to be used with finding a real vampire page on this website. Just read that. After all, if you don't recognize yourself as a real vampire, then you aren't a real vampire. All of the traits below are accurate for more than half of all real vampires. All real vampires have at least 85% of them. In other words, if 85% of them don't apply to you, then you are not a vampire. Assuming that you are a real vampire, the fact that so many of these traits are accurate for you may shock you. These are the traits that I am saying are 95%, so that I don't have to rule any real vampires out that the traits may not be accurate for. If you are convinced that you are a real vampire, yet have few to none of these traits, then you really need to read up on the term that is known as enabling and stop claiming to be one. Most people that believe are a real vampire are simply have a psychological problem. You could even have all of them, but there's still no guarantee that you are a real vampire. I didn't draw blood at first, but I did get an overwhelming feeling. If you can relate to that quote, don't waste your time reading any farther because you are definitely not a real vampire. You are on the classic case of Reinfeld syndrome. What the hell is that? Clinical vampirism. Okay. Do you have unusually pale skin? Your skin doesn't need to be pale to be a vampire, it just needs to be pale in comparison to what your skin tone should be. Yes, then cook up one or two depending on the size, medium rare steaks. If by the time you're done enjoying the second one you have a new pinkish color throughout your body that you haven't in a while, read no farther. You are a real vampire. Humans can't digest blood alone, let alone get color from it. Real vampires do. It's very interesting. This is this is definitely one of the ways that you can easily test if you're a vampire, I guess. Note, the extra work involving when trying to eat medium rare or rare meat can cause a temporary pink color to the skin, which is otherwise known as being flushed. Temporary being flushed is not the color that is being referred to when a vampire gets color from the blood in the steak. It takes a lot less human blood than animal blood to get the same effect, but animal blood is way easier to get. If you were white before, and you still are, you should still see a doctor. Odds are you aren't a real vampire, you're just malnourished and they can help. Have you ever been told by professionals that you're lucky you survived an accident with only a few scratches or cuts? Are you a naturally strong magic energy user, self-taught or self-realized? So that's a dubious one, because that's just that has to do with enabling, I think, personally, but I don't know. I guess I don't know magic that well. I just know the card game. I don't even know the card game that well. Anyway, as a kid, were you the strongest, smartest, or quickest kid in the class at around 16 years of age, maybe all three? Did your dad disappear from your life when you were a young age? Note, 52% of vampires out of a large range of vampires have answered yes to this question. This includes people who believe they are real vampires, however, may not really be one. Look for one theory on how this is vampire related. The truth about the vampire community. Oh, okay. Do people tell you that you look very young for your age, or they would have never guessed how old you are? Are you that just That just happens if you don't do drugs. Just gonna be honest. Are you extremely energetic at night, but at the same time the sun comes up, you're extremely tired? I feel weird. I don't know. I don't want to answer these questions because I don't want to convince myself I'm a vampire and go insane and go schizo. So, are you a slightly quicker healer than most, if not a much quicker healer? Do you have an unusually high tolerance to alcohol and other poisons/toxins? Do you tend to switch between very social and antisocial frequently? Do you rarely get sick, or when you do get sick, your body recovers quicker than most people? Are your six senses more enhanced than most other people, i.e., vision, hearing, touch, smell, taste, and intuition? Do you have extremely good vision in the dark? How many times has one said it's too dark and they can't see while you are doing something like reading? Going to this page will improve your night vision. Do you tend to not be surprised or scared by the typical sudden loud noise in a movie or things that because you sensed it coming? That might be because you watch too many movies, I'm gonna be honest. Do you react to things like catching or a falling object or other normally unexpected things at an almost psychic speed, as if you were expecting it to happen? Do you tend to get a high from human blood? When drinking someone's blood, do you tend to find yourself being able to do something that they could do that you couldn't do about 2 weeks after drinking it? Oh, that's a weird question. I don't think people drink other people's blood that often to really figure that out. Are you sensitive to, or even, why would you want to try that? Are you sensitive to light or heat from it? Ranging from getting a bad headache or from the glare to burning very easily. If, while your skin is white from the lack of enough blood in you, do you bleed quite noticeably less than a person normally should, or more likely not bleed at all? Are your nails clear like glass but very strong? Is your bedroom the coldest and darkest room in the house? According to multiple news articles found online, older adults can't hear this sound. So far, I haven't found someone over 36 who is a non-vamp that can. Click here to try it. Warning, if you can hear it, it won't be loud. I don't want to click on that. Always follow the warnings. I'm so sick. A legitimate vampire is able to safely digest more than 600% of their daily recommended amount of iron. RDA is 18, 600% is 108. Read the warnings. Yeah, you don't want to drink a ton of blood and then get iron poisoning. How often do you look at the person that almost bumped into you and think, you idiot, or people are so stupid because they didn't know you were only a couple feet away from them? Because you always know when someone is that close to you, which, when you think about it, you only know because you can sense when someone is that close to you. Do you always have a strong urge to travel? How often does something smell so strong that you can literally taste it, whether it's a good thing or bad thing? Note, when most people say it smells so strong that they can taste it, it's only a figure of speech. And that the people that agree with you when you say it rarely can taste it think I'm wrong? Ask them yourself. Huh. Can you hear a whisper from across the room? Do the words "come on outside, it's a nice, bright and sunny day, there's lots of people out" seem like a bad thing more than a good thing to you? As opposed to the guy who said it to you saying it with a big happy smile. Regardless of normal you may consider yourself, do you tend to meet a lot of people that you quite often hit it off with relatively frequently? Keep in mind, normal is just a politically correct term for people that have no creativity. It definitely is not something to be proud of calling yourself. Okay. Do you have a predator instinct that is so strong that it makes most people seem to act more like herbivores than omnivores that they consider themselves to be? Does sunlight/bright light in general hurt eyes and head in most cases to the point of a migraine? But you can still go out and see .17.
Do electrical appliances tend to hate you? Watches mess up often, computers malfunction for no reason. Are your dreams often extremely vivid and sometimes result in cases of deja vu? So websites freaking out sometimes. Do people often find you very empathetic to how they feel? Do people either trust you or not trust you at all? When you will do things to happen, do they usually happen? Not sure what that means. It's like manifesting. Does your mood have an obvious effect on the mood of others around you? The only count of this happens to the people that can't see you, especially on babies and animals like cats. Were you born with a number of health problems, including heart problems, that went away on its own? Having only half the traits listed does not make you a half vampire, it makes you nothing special. The only difference between a real vampire and a normal human is one endogenous retrovirus, making it impossible to be a half vampire. The difference between a normal human and an ape is 3 endogenous retroviruses, making it a lot more for someone to be half ape. More likely for someone to be half ape than it is for them to be half vampire. It is impossible to be half vampire. Anyone that thinks otherwise is a total idiot. That's interesting.